Welcome to Six Picks Music Club, a music podcast for people who complain about prank videos on YouTube. Oh man, I do hate prank videos on YouTube. All those kids are so stupid. I want them to all get punched. But anyway, hey, welcome to Six Picks Music Club. This is the music podcast where we pick 6 songs each week around a theme. And thanks for being with us every other Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Six Picks Music Club. We put previews and little clips of the shows on there, so go check those out. I'm Dave, and with me are some pickers from other liquors, Dr. Geoff and the Russell Maniac. What's happening, dudes?
Hey, man. How are you?
I guess I'm okay.
How do you feel about that intro overall? Do you felt like it went well?
It's hard to know. Like, anyone could even know that, man. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's over with now, and so, let's move to the next part.
Okay. Thanks for your permission, guy. Jesus. All right, we're off to a great start today, gang. Before we have any more fun, before we bust our sides, we're not even in the club yet. So what's our password this week to get the doors open?
Kielbasa sausage, your butt cheeks is warm.
Yeah, I think you should have to sing it, though.
Just that part?
Sure.
Kielbasa sausage, your butt cheeks is warm.
Yes.
Nice.
That's right. Okay, well, listener, you got to sing it too coming into the clubhouse. Everybody grab some chairs. Yeah, after our school song episode, we decided that we maybe needed to come up for air a little bit since that devolved into darkness and murder. And so we decided we're going to lighten things up a little bit this week.
We had a question about that, Dave.
Yo.
It definitely came in, pretty close to an hour and 20 minutes. So Russ and I were wondering if we've entered into our bloated rock star phase. We're releasing double records, double albums.
Yeah.
2 CD sets.
And we're just out here getting blood transfusions after shows.
And then just like pontificating to all the VIP backstage passers, like holding forth among them about whatever you think they need to hear, and then retiring to your dressing room without having any fun.
Yeah. So something a little lighter with our topic being comedy gold here. I just wanted to also kind of get y'all's perspective on comedy, like movies or stand-up or things like that. How did that sort of shape your lives, and what do you love about it?
Favorite comedy movie, go. Everybody has to do their favorite comedy movie.
I'll start. Hamlet 2.
Nice.
I have a Hamlet 2 shirt, Russ.
Nice.
And it says, "Rock Me Sexy Jesus."
Yes.
And he's doing this. It's so funny. It's such a funny movie that nobody talks about.
Nobody saw it. I saw it on opening weekend, and there were 6 people in the theater.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? I was laughing so hard.
I watched it, and I was like, the whole time, I was like, God, he's a genius. I love this guy so much.
Oh, so funny.
I'm gonna say Joe Dirt.
Because you guys have the same mustache?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Dude, Russ just aired up the Reebok pumps and fucking came screaming in and tomahawk dunked on you, dude.
No, it's like so stupid. I think, yeah, it's so absurd.
Mine is Tommy Boy. I know every beat of it. I know, like, I can do every single word. I laugh every time I watch it.
So it's interesting. Like, what's the draw there? Like, why do we love laughing? I mean, is there? Obviously, there's some scientific serotonin, oxytocin, whatever that you get from it. But like,
dude, it's interesting that you ask, because I've recently been thinking about this. Why? Because I'm on kid number 3. She's 5 months old, and she started laughing, and it's like,
oh, nice.
She doesn't know what I'm saying. She can barely see colors.
She doesn't get the nuance of your haiku just yet.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I'm doing high quality shit, baby. No, I just, like, she legit laughs too. Like, sometimes it's something will tickle her, and she goes like, like a
Yeah.
real big baby laugh.
Those are the best laughs.
It's the best. It really is genuinely the best, especially when they've just started laughing after months of you've been taking care of them. But like, it doesn't make sense, like from a way we understand humor, for babies to laugh. Like that's not, because we think of it as like it's a gut reaction to something that makes us uncomfortable. It's something that tickles a part of our, our cerebral thinking. We think something's really clever, so much so that we laugh. It surprises us, there's different kinds of laughs, cringe, all this stuff, but all of it is based on your brain activity and like the way that you're supposed to be thinking about the comedy. Babies don't think about shit. So that's not what's making them laugh. Like it must be instinctual, or it must be something that's built into the human experience. Like we don't even really have a choice. If you allow it to be, especially if you have a whole family with kids, like life could get fucking tense. Like,
oh yeah, no, for sure.
It's like that Paul Rudd line. He's like, actually being married is like everybody loves Raymond, except it's not funny. It's just really tense. It's like, but you definitely have to put energy into continuing to like enjoy comedy and make sure that you have jokes and you share laughs together, because that's a really important thing.
One of the other things I think is really cool is like you find these people that you laugh with and like you share that. There's this camaraderie that comes along with it when you see something and agree on it. I don't know. It's like you find the same things funny as other people. I feel like it creates this other part of community that even builds stronger bonds. So I think it's awesome. When you find a partner that you can laugh with, like that's huge. That would be my one dating advice. If you can't find something to laugh about together or make them laugh, like, try again. Okay, yeah, so tonight's picks, I kind of think that they sort of fit together. It's pretty loose, but I think our first half of songs, these artists approached comedy from one position. Like they all started kind of as improv folk, and then the second half of the songs, I think this is still true because Geoff changed his song, his second song 5 minutes before we recorded.
It's because I care.
Yeah, sure. Not about the rest of his podcasting team, but certainly about you, listener.
Jesus.
I think that the second half, they are taking a more satirical kind of view of society in their comedy. So I think that's how we're going to break it up today. And I think without further ado, Geoff, why don't you kick us off? What's your first pick?
I'm just going to say I appreciate Dave. I know that you laid off of the Tenacious D because you knew that I wanted it. And we didn't even talk about that.
No, I didn't have to ask.
So did I, dude. I immediately pushed Tenacious D out of the way because I knew you wanted to go for it. So
okay. Did I tell you that, or did you both just know?
We had a conversation a while back about Tenacious D. I think you seem very passionate about them, and I.
You seem weirdly passionate about them.
Weirdly passionate. You said it was your go-to karaoke song that brings down the house. So I think.
Oh, that's right.
And the fact that I've known you when all of this came out.
Yeah, when Tenacious D, the first record came out, you and I actually remember listening to it with you a lot and how much we enjoyed it together. And so you were my other Tenacious D guy, but I like really love Tenacious D. I think you do too, and so I'm not trying to take it away from you, but like,
oh no.
Like I've seen him a few times. I think the music is great, so it's not even about jokes, but there are also really funny lyrics, and the whole package is for me. And I think for probably 5 or 6 years, I did a Jack Black impression to be funny. Like I was basically acting out Jack Black because he's like very singular, and he says funny words, and the way that and his like phrasing is great. And he's also goofy, I just like all of it.
To be fair, I think it was kind of a Chris Farley, Jack Black hybrid. I think you wound those worlds together.
I'm not as funny and clever as Jack Black, but Jack Black can't pratfall as good as I can. I'm a great pratfaller. And
another reason why your wife and you are perfectly matched is...
she does love it. And She doesn't want to admit it, but when I fake run into the door going into a place and like really sell it, you know, that bit that I do, I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
And then people are like, oh shit, did you run into the door? I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of blood. God bless. And then like, I'm like, ha ha. And then, like, it looked really real. My now wife loves that shit. Anyway, the song that I chose, it's probably not even my favorite Tenacious D song, though that's hard for me because I do love every single thing that they've done. And the first album was so important to me, but this is off of the soundtrack to their film album. It's called Pick of Destiny from 2006. The film is The Pick of Destiny, and they go together quite well. This is the first song off of that record and got maybe one of the best opening lines of any record. This is Kickapoo by Tenacious D.
Who will teach me how to rock? My father thinks you're evil, but man, he can suck a cock. Rock is not the devil's work, it's magical and rad. I'll never rock as long as I am stuck here with my dad.
I hear you brave young jabrils, you are hungry for the rock. But to learn the ancient methods, secret doors you must unlock. Escape your father's clutches in this oppressive neighborhood. On a journey you must go to find the land of Hollywood.
Hell yeah, dude. I love anything that Meatloaf gets to sing on.
Yeah, for sure. In the mythography of Tenacious D, this is a real apotheosis, I think is the word that I want, because on their first record, they have a song about Dio being too old to rock. So it's like, you're too old to rock. No more rocking for you. And then they're going to take him to a home and they'll sing songs about him. You know, they'll make sure he's really well taken care of. But Dio was such a cool guy. And by the way, had a Billboard 100 song in 5 different decades, which is incredible. The guy, like,
Cool.
Yeah, he had a great deal of longevity. My buddy Ned and I saw him play live in like 2005, and it was fucking amazing. Like, Dio was great. But he shows up on this song. He must have a great sense of humor, because even after they recorded the song, it's kind of poking fun at him, even though it's also respectful in a weird way. He was like, yeah, I'll be on your song. Let's do it. And he's the great wise man that shows Jack Black how to rock, how to leave Kickapoo. And that's so cool. And Meatloaf, of course, is the repressive religious dad in the song. Yep. And I just really love the line, I need a tight compadre who'll teach me how to rock. My father thinks you're evil, but man, he can suck a cock.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. But I also like to, like, I love that first line, like I said, where it's like, a long ass fucking time ago in a town called Kickapoo. Like, it's just, everything's funny about that. But I was like, when I first listened to it, I wondered whether Jack Black got Kickapoo from close to my hometown in Louisiana, because there's a Kickapoo, Louisiana, and he not too long before this filmed the movie Year One with Michael Cera close to Kickapoo, Louisiana, in I think Natchitoches, Louisiana. And so I was like, dude, I bet he got the town name from that movie shoot. This is disputed. I think there's an argument that it's from Kickapoo, Missouri, and it has to do with Brad Pitt. I don't know, but I like to think that he first came across Kickapoo in Louisiana, so that's part of it too.
I clearly remember the discovery of Tenacious D, because again, like being exposed to, I think it was on HBO, right? Mr. Show, isn't that where they started?
Yeah.
So yeah, the Jack Black, Kyle Gass starting on that show, and then getting their own, kind of mini series out of that deal. It was just like this unbroached piece of comedy that I'd never seen, and I freaking loved it.
But those guys can fucking play, though, man.
And they can fucking play.
It wasn't just funny songs. Like, they write good songs that then, like, have funny lyrics on top of it.
I totally agree with you. They'll always be a joke band first, but they're a for real band that writes really good songs, and they get in arguments about their songs, like when they're recording, you know, with the producer and stuff. Like, they want them to sound good, and it's the real deal. But yeah, I mean, I think their songs are fucking amazing. Like, I rock to them and also sing all the words.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think if they weren't joke songs, I would still listen to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. But that's what I think it's important in like comedy music, if you're going to have comedy, and I'll talk about this with my second pick later, but to be great at the music and you're also doing comedy is cool.
I think that's a good transition to my first pick, because this group is also an HBO group that started in New Zealand, and they'd made a movie like called I think was it Eagle versus Shark, that kind of came out before they started to get big with this show, and the show is Flight of the Concords. And so the song from them that I picked for tonight is called Business Time. So let's give it a listen.
You lean in and whisper something sexy in my ear like, I might go to bed now, I've got work in the morning. I know what you're trying to say, girl. You're trying to say, oh yeah, it's business time. It's business time. It's business. It's business time. I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say it's time for business. It's business time. Ooh, it's business.
Those guys are great, man.
So my introduction to music comedy would have to go back to, I don't know, 4th or 5th grade, when I discovered Weird Al Yankovic. What are we at with that?
Tough omission for our 6 picks. I'm glad that he's coming up in conversation because he's critical.
He is a founding father.
He was definitely my first introduction to it as well. Eat It and
Another one, Rides the Bus.
Fat. Oh yeah, and they're fat. Yeah. Like,
yeah, you know I'm fat.
When I was in 5th grade, my buddy Alan and we did a talent show dance to the I'm Fat song. And we got big, giant XL T-shirts and stuffed them full of balloons and just made ourselves look like
badass.
Really insensitive to body types or whatever.
Dude, Amish Paradise used to crack me up so hard. I love Amish Paradise.
Going back to the comedy movie thing, like UHF maybe takes the cake as far as all time.
Yeah.
Favorite number one, because that's like the pinnacle of silliness. And so that's one of the things that I really love about Flight of the Concords, because they're like the D, they're very good musicians, very proficient musicians. And I think very much in the vein of Weird Al, they try to emulate stylistically other bands. And I think that's one of the really fun things about them. This is sort of that kind of funk R&B, sort of like little almost Genuine-esque kind of song, but it's just
Barry White.
Yeah. But it is just the most ridiculous storyline, and I freaking love it, man. After they became these comedy icons, they did a show at HBO where every episode they had a new song or two, and it was about these 2 New Zealand guys that moved to New York to try to become a band and make it, and it is fantastic. If you haven't watched it, that's a high recommendation. You should be able to catch all 2 seasons there. And it was like the birthplace of Kristen Schaal, the super fan.
The one that was on Daily Show.
do you see what we've done, Geoff? Let me tell you what we've done. Now, Dave has no confidence in saying any word or any name, and he says it 3 different ways and asks for confirmation. He needs acceptance right now, so just watch out.
I'm so broken. And
it's funny because I have no idea how to say her name, but I just know that
we always talk about your complexes, but we gave one to Dave during this podcast.
Well, that's just we spend a lot of time together, and that's what happens. You know, you start to create holes in the other people's psyches. But go ahead. Let's have fun.
I'm fragile. I'm so fragile. Anyway, she's a giant star now. She voices over every kid's show. She is in all these TV shows, movies, everything. She's this huge person. I think she's made it bigger than anyone else on that show.
Yeah.
Funnily enough.
In their hip hop song, Jermaine goes,
the hip hopopotamus.
Yeah, he goes, they call me the hip hopopotamus. My lyrics are bottomless. And then he just stops.
And then it just
the verse
lays
there.
out there.
And then later he's like, when I freestyle, I lose confidence.
Did Steve tell you that? But yeah, no, that's lots of fun.
But also, Britt McKenzie did the music for the Muppets movie with Jason Segel. That's a great movie. I've watched that a lot with my kids. And the music is awesome. Like, you could tell that he was part of it. And then fucking Jermaine does the shiny crab in Moana, and that's great.
They made the movie for What We Do in the Shadows, and they're executive producers on that show now. And that's fucking great. I love that show. Kind of in that sort of theme there, Russ. Like your band, they started as an improv troupe in New York. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about your next pick?
My first pick is by a band called Ninja Sex Party. And this is off of their 2013 album Strawberries and Cream. And the song is FYI, I Wanna F Your A.
On your chest, you know my D is the best. And FYI, I want it F your A, no effing way. So how about a BJ? If not, that's also okay. But FYI, I want it F your A. Let's play a sexy RPG while we watch ABC and eat a bowl of MSG. Meaning that I'll really pound your groin as you achieve butt climax and make sex gravy. You'll be
Okay, first time I've ever heard that, and I was crying on my end of things. I laughed the entire song.
That's a good one. It's funny.
That's genius.
It's funny because I immediately went to Tenacious D and I thought, nope, can't do Tenacious D. I wanted to find someone similar to Tenacious D that like played good music and was really funny. Anyway, the duo consists of Danny Sexbang and Ninja Brian. Danny Sexbang is portrayed as an idiotic, hypersexual Jewish man who tries unsuccessfully to hit on women, and Ninja Brian just doesn't talk.
Oh, because he's a ninja, yeah.
They feature like rock or synth pop oriented humorous songs, and to me, they seem influenced by Tenacious D, and I'm sure they are, but they don't rock as hard, but they are, I think, pretty funny. I think that the two bands complement each other in their absurdity and like humor.
So just quick question. We keep talking about the D. Are they the greatest comedy rock band? I feel like this episode kind of is revolving around them some because they're definitely like the benchmark, right?
Well, maybe the first half. Sure.
I think
sure.
I just think that they're a good band. Like if the lyrics weren't funny, I would still listen to them. So I think that's what gives them a push. I mean, and Jack Black can fucking sing too. I mean, like there's just,
he could sing.
There's several things happening there, which I think make it work. And he's funny.
They have all of the parts.
I think Spinal Tap might have a word, but
Spinal Tap was like a funny bit, like a really funny bit, but songs wise, like I would never listen to Spinal Tap just driving around. Oh,
Big Bottom? Are you kidding me?
I'm going to listen to this song because I'm getting something out of the song. Yeah, whereas Tenacious D, I will listen to it and be like, it's Tenacious D time. You better fucking go. It's like, fuck yeah. Like, I'll listen to it. Anyway.
So Ninja Sex Party has 6 albums with the new one that just came out in March.
Whoa.
And then they have 3, 6 like humorous albums, and they have 3 albums where they just do covers.
Okay.
But anyway, so all of the non-cover albums have reached number 1 on the comedy charts, and then their highest peaking album on the Billboard 200 was 17.
Oh, wow.
5 of their albums have made it between 17 and like 21.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah, it's wild.
Do you think it's hard to remember the words to that song?
Dude, yes. There's so many acronyms going through the whole thing.
It's expertly written.
Yeah.
I would say.
That my favorite line, I think, is you get to watch a DVD that means you'll get a dicking oh so
Right.
very delicately. So much in the vein of
Yeah.
the D, where like I can't believe I heard that in a song.
Right. And then Sex Gravy. Sex Gravy's pretty good.
Sex gravy. MSG's makes sex gravy.
Yeah.
As you achieve butt climax, ABC.
Yeah.
That's right. When I'm thinking about like a comedy song, I try to think
Oy, oy, oy.
like I do like things that are somewhat shocking and really shocking only because they take me by surprise. And that song, first time I heard it, just
Yeah.
took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting it. At first I'm like, oh, they're gonna be cute and say, you know, F your A, okay, whatever. But then it just gets into everything else, and you're like, okay, this is funny. I mean, even it starts off, you're like, okay, I want to
This is
J on
very
your T,
well
like,
planned.
okay, this is cool. And then he's
Yeah.
like, then he gets into the DVDs and like the MSGs and the ABCs, and you're like,
Yeah,
okay,
no, it's
holy shit, and all of that in 2 minutes, right?
yeah, it's fast. It keeps escalating the whole
right.
time. You're like, wow, this guy is like, how could you keep going?
Yeah, I think both of your picks tonight, Russ. You've got like you've got a lot into a short little window.
Yeah, well, I worry that jokes get killed, so I like shorter stuff, just especially when it comes to comedy. I mean, not always. I'm not saying that your songs were too long, but you know, I feel like like if you were to
Yeah.
cut it shorter, like it'd be punchier and like in on a bang. And so I do like that when it comes to comedy.
They stopped making decisions like we stopped making decisions in our school app. You know, they just put it all in there. Don't cut.
We fired the
The
editor.
unabridged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was for the Patreon subscribers. We're
Yeah.
going to start that for the extended playthroughs. But yeah, before we get to your second pick, Russ, let's take a quick break for Pod Swap.
Pod swap.
I'm Amanda, and that's Evan. Say hi, Evan.
Hi, Evan.
And we're the hosts of The Worst Podcast on Mars. This is the podcast that talks music. And on Fridays, we work our way through the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's list of 200 definitive albums. I do a bunch of research trying to figure out why it's on this list. And on Tuesdays, we do smaller episodes that are not part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's list. And Evan, well, he just literally shows up. So if that's what you're into, please find us on Apple Music or Spotify.
But not Mars. Yet.
Sweet. Check them out. Back to six picks. Russ, why don't you give us your next comedy pick tonight? What do you got?
My second song tonight is called Spring Water by Bird Cloud.
I blacked out outside of spring water, took a piss out in the parking lot in the shape of Africa. Blackjack, wrecked my Cadillac, bought a present for my nose, and I tore off all my clothes, and then I went down on a rodeo clown while the bulls all watched and gathered around. Man.
Okay, so Bird Cloud is made up of Mackenzie Green and Jasmine Caset. They're not a comedy band, but a lot of their songs are darkly humorous. The Bird Cloud women claim that their songs represent people from the South that they grew up next to and that their beliefs don't align with that of their characters. Mackenzie Green said, this is a quote from her saying, "Sure, life is fucked up and it's funny to laugh at sometimes, but our songs are grounded in the real experiences of real people." I think this brings up a good point about political correctness, censorship, cancel culture, etc., things like that, right? I mean, if you write a novel or a movie or a short story and you have a racist character or somebody who's like super offensive, you know, most times the author's going to get a pass if the story reads as commentary or satire, right? But if you have a musician singing a song in first person, it just, people tend to believe that there's like singing their truth, right?
Yeah.
And even if the song is commentary or satire, I think some people anyway, have a hard time separating the song or the character from the artist. And I think that's the difficult part about the content of Bird Cloud's songs, is that most of them are probably about Southern folk and told from their perspective. This is where I think singing from the first person can get messy. I read this Vice article by this guy, Kirk Walker Graves, where he said this about Bird Cloud and how they fit kind of in the idea of like when Sarah Palin was campaigning about real Americans. So here's a quote. He said, "In an odd sense, real Americans is precisely the demographic for whom Bird Cloud's music speaks. That sea of citizens across the Republic who hate immigrants and vegetarians with equal relish, who crank up Sean Hannity while speeding down the highway in a rage, a tall boy Miller Lite perched between their thighs, and a dream catcher hanging from their rearview mirror, with nothing to look forward to but endless nights of domestic strife and the always lingering possibility of suicide."
Good God.
Ouch.
That's
kind of dark, man.
The last part.
This is
too
the
much.
funny episode, right? It's just
No, the last part hurts.
So how many times have artists created works to critique something, but the message gets lost and audiences miss the point, right?
Oh yeah, Beastie
For
Boys.
sure.
The
Beastie Boys, we talked
problem.
about Mazzy Star as well, right?
Yeah.
These people end up celebrating the very thing the artist is calling out. And it's just, I think that's pretty much where Bird Cloud sits as well, because these songs could be, depending on which side of the fence you're looking at them, incredibly offensive. There's a song that they have called Indianer. It's commentary on people in the South who are like, I'm like quarter Cherokee or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then the song goes like, I'm more Indianer than you. So they end up getting a bunch
Yeah.
of death threats because of that song. And there's another song where it's about a white girl who is telling her racist father that she's dating a black man to piss him off. And then there's another one called like Saving Myself for Jesus, where they're just talking about how like, you can titty fuck me, I'll blow you, you can fuck me in the ass, but my hymen is reserved for Jesus. Right? So people get really pissed off about this, but like it's straight commentary on it. And I don't know. It's interesting. So
That's just real art. People that talk a lot about free speech. I'm sorry, but like this is free speech. This is what it looks like. Parody gets to be tough on people sometimes. And that's something that's like,
Right.
hear it. Like know how to process that stuff. It's important to be able to engage with that kind of art, I think. Even if you find it abhorrent, being able to articulate why you find it abhorrent is important. So I'm all in on that kind of stuff, man. I think it's great.
Yeah, I think,
think it's great.
there's maybe also like a commentary on the city of Nashville too, just sort of like, and then the country music industry, like that's where they started and they came up, and it's just like it's very much like, well, you know, we can write a song about like getting drunk and drinking beer, and but we're gonna also talk about doing shrooms and getting parties in my nose and blowing a fucking rodeo clown while the bulls all circled and watched, you know, like that's just
Yeah,
I have a
that's
quote
great.
based on that
Cool.
real quick from Jasmine Kasich. She said, "Contemporary country music sucks so bad now because artists are trying to appeal to everyone. And the result is a bunch of BuzzFeed style list songs or boring drinking songs or limp dick kissing a girl's ass love songs."
yeah,
And I think that's exactly what you're saying.
totally.
It's true, man.
They're trying to bring country back to the time when, you know, it had teeth.
Yeah, it was just when it was real.
Which is one of the reasons why I like it. I don't listen to a lot of country,
Right.
but they're so punk rock in their attitude while engaging in country music that it really appeals to me, even though I could see how people could be incredibly offended by it. But I
don't think they were writing it for them, you know. It's like I was in Nashville around that time, and there was a really small kind of indie rock scene that was pretty cool, and just like I think that this coming out when it did is just like also sort of, you know, it's not for that other audience. It's not for the audience they're making fun of. It's also like, as that community sort of was with each other, they were like, oh yeah, like we're doing this, but like, look at all these jackasses over here, like writing a song about their truck. Like, and it was a way for all the cool kids to kind of laugh at the circumstance that they found themselves in. It's like, man, it's so absurd. They're like, we're here with all these musicians that are writing songs for, you know, the country top 10, whatever, top 100. And they're all the same song. I really love this whole band and this whole album. And
It's kind of neo outlaw country from the 70s.
no, I think that was Russ was saying.
You know, where you had like your Merle Haggard and your Willie Nelson
Sure.
and like, yeah, it was David Allen Coe, like these folks were like
Chris Christopherson.
yeah, they were living real lives and they weren't gonna like dress it up and put sheen on it. Like they were writing about drugging and drinking and like being poor and even fucking wasn't it Loretta Lynn that had the song about doing the pill?
Yeah.
When and that was seen as women's lib, but she was like, no, it's like it's important for women and guys don't understand and fuck you.
Right.
That stuff was really subversive sometimes, country music in the 70s. And so I'm all for, I love that shit too. Like that's my country music, honestly. And I listened to like the Alan Jacksons and all this stuff. We've talked about this. Like I had to listen to that shit with my mom, but the real deal is the 70s. Like it was fucking punk rock, Those guys didn't give a fuck.
I heard more about doing dope and drinking beer and getting drunk from that era of country music than I ever did from hip hop or rock and roll.
Hell yeah. Those guys went so hard.
Yeah.
Let me read you this paragraph from the review of The Pick of Destiny from Tenacious D real quick. Because you just read that really tough review. But this is what somebody from this magazine called Slant gave him 1 out of 5 stars. But this is the paragraph. The long gestating feature film Tenacious D in The Pick of Destiny confirms that Black has blown his wad. With much of the screen time devoted to his sweaty mugging, you leave the theater feeling drained, but not from ceaseless laughter. Rather, it's a weary resignation that once again, Hollywood has managed to thoroughly fuck up what was once quite funny for a few hundred devoted fans. Isn't that mean?
Jesus. I like The Pick of Destiny. I thought that movie was awesome.
It's so wrong too. That's the thing, is that like, it's one of those things, like, if you don't think it's funny, it's because you don't think Tenacious D is funny, and that's fine. Like, but it is a Tenacious D joint, and if you understand their bit, it's funny.
It's everything you want it to be. Like, it was everything I wanted it to be.
I feel like they stole that from Spike Lee, though. It was always a Spike Lee joint before it was a Tenacious D joint.
That is true.
Although, maybe he's talking about the literal joint, like of rolling a joint. God, I miss David Crosby on Twitter, rating people's joints.
What are you doing right now? Are you doing word association? Jesus fucking Christ, Russ. What's happening?
Joint. Spike Lee joint. Smoking a joint. Joint bank account.
Yeah, joint bank account. Anybody have one of those?
Joint elbows. Yes. Okay.
God. I think you did heroin in them. You're like the Lane Staley of this podcast right now.
Man.
That review that I read it wasn't really a review, but it was favorable. This guy loved them.
Oh, I guess it was just like scathing.
What he was saying was like, these are the people thinking these songs are about them in a positive light.
That always happens with parody, that there are people that believe that you're representing them. You have to be very careful with parody and cultural critique. Nietzsche has gone down in history as being the philosopher that justified Nazism. And it's very unclear and highly unlikely even that he would have supported the Nazis. Like, he's probably the opposite. His work was able to be misused. Anyway, that was a dark example.
All right, last little bit. So in 2019, Bird Cloud called it quits. And then in 2020, they talked about getting back together. And then cue the pandemic, and it never happened. But Jasmine Casett, one half of them, has been releasing solo albums, so she's still making music, but I don't know whatever happened to Mackenzie Green. Okay, so Houston Press also wrote something about them.
Oh, okay.
And it's just one little paragraph.
Not a sponsor of the pod.
No, but it says, it's obvious that Bird Cloud isn't for everyone. This isn't music you want to share with your mama unless she works at a truck stop or has done a little time in the pen. You might not want to listen to these raunchy, often uncomfortable songs in your regular rotation, but there's no denying the crucial place that they and songs like them have in this genre. And honestly, if dirty words and girls singing raunchy like about sex is offensive to you, that doesn't have anything to do with Bird Cloud. That's on you.
Well,
I'm like, yeah. So that's exactly what we're saying. So
That is a really, really fun song. I love that. I love them. I love that band. It's interesting because my next song, it also came out of the pandemic. It was this sort of art project that this artist put together by himself. The show is called Inside, and it's by Burnham. And it was sort of like looking at the inside of a person's psyche as they went into lockdown and, you know, struggled through the mental struggles.
You're doing great.
Went through the mental struggles. Yeah.
That's really.
you're doing great.
Yeah.
Just keep it going, man.
Of
The fentanyl hasn't taken your life yet. Keep
no.
going.
I just need another patch.
There's a man in the box.
So yeah, but the song off of this this concept show album, but it came out on Netflix during 2021, and the song is called "Welcome to the Internet."
See a man beheaded, get offended, see a shrink. Show us pictures of your children, tell us every thought you think. Start a rumor, buy a broomer, send a death threat to a boomer, or DM a girl and groomer, do a zoomer, find a tumor in your. Here's a healthy breakfast option. You should kill your mom. Here's why women never fuck you. Here's how you can build a bomb. Which Power Ranger are you? Take this quirky quiz. Obama sent the immigrants to vaccinate your kids. Could I interest you in everything, all of the time? A little bit of everything, all of the time. Apathy's a tragedy and boredom is a crime. Anything and everything, all of the time. Could I interest you in...
There's a lot going on in that track, for certain. Man, I just really loved this whole special. It's interesting because, like, Jeffro, you introduced me to Bo Burnham back in the day off of E-Bombs World in like 2000 or 2001, maybe. Who knows? Like, he talks about back in 99, before all of this was crazy, like it was just chat rooms and like MapQuest directions and all that stuff. And this is when like Bo Burnham was kind of making a name for himself as sort of this online YouTube comedian who was doing stand-up and like singing silly songs. There was like this window from like...
You just play like a keyboard in his bedroom and sing. And it was like, oh man, this kid is...
Yeah.
He was like a child and he was brilliant.
Like a 14, 12-year-old kid.
Yeah, and he's writing really funny songs and just like hiding from his parents about it. You know, it was crazy.
So he gets this huge following and then, you know, has this whole career that's like... I mean, he's directed movies now. He directed, was that 8th Grade? Isn't that his?
Yeah. That was a good one.
It was great, right? And yeah, so he's just like, I think he's this massive talent that is also able to take kind of that musicianship, like, and that artistry of all of the things he's able to put together. I think it won 3 primetime Emmys. The social commentary part that I think is really funny is like he presents the internet in a less comfortable position, sort of like, yeah, these are the things that are there. Like, this is what we've become. This is who society is now because we created this thing that has no limit. Say what you will, like good or bad. I don't want to be the man shaking my fist at the cloud, and certainly technology is already going to surpass my lifetime. But it's interesting to think about how different people are. Like, Jeffro, you were mentioning like kind of the anxiety of social media in school on the school episode, and just sort of like how it's different than what we went through. For kids who didn't grow up with the internet, that the internet like came to us in our lifetime, our kids don't have that. Like they have lived with internet all the time.
The story of Bo Burnham, I mean, he is a product of the internet, and he's almost like an internet expert or digital media expert. And I think he's got basically like that special is about anxiety. Like that's to me, that's the center point of it.
Yeah. Listening to this song freaks me out a little bit. It's so like chaotic and frenetic.
Yeah, it's funny, but under it is like a real anxiety, and it makes you feel anxious, I think. Like, even if you hadn't seen the special, I think this song would make you feel uncomfortable in a way. That special is about anxiety and society on the precipice. To have like an internet star kind of bring that to everyone, it's almost like Promethean, you know, where he's saying like, I've seen it all, and this is probably really bad for us.
And like meta on like a streaming service, right?
Yeah, it's pretty brilliant, man.
I agree. I think he's a a brilliant dude and really funny and like very sarcastic, quasi sort of innocence that he kind of tries to weave into things. And, you know, it's particularly interesting with this show that he did, the Inside Show. It's very different. It's very, very much a struggle that he's showcasing, but he still weaves all of these things that are really funny and kind of like makes you feel like, okay, we're going to go on the journey with you, even though we don't really want to even think about this for ourselves.
Here's something. I couldn't make it 15 minutes through that.
Really?
Maybe it's because it was 2021 and like I was still reeling from the pandemic, but I got 15 minutes and I said, nope, I can't do it.
Yeah, too dark. Well, he did show himself like having breakdowns and like throwing shit, but there's no mistaking that it's like it was one of the superior interpretations of that moment.
I don't even know it's been enough time yet for me, but at some point I will watch it and I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I remember that. Cool.
It's one of those things like if somebody 20 years from now was like, what was it like to be in the pandemic? You'd be like, this.
Go watch this. Yeah.
I am not discrediting it at all. It just was something I was unable to do without, I think, probably getting too anxious about it. And I was like, I'm not having fun with this.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be funny. Fuck this. Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's not lighthearted humor.
Yeah, no pratfalls in this, really, unfortunately. I think one of the things that really works about this is sort of like, it's this carnival ride of just sort of chaos that like takes a break and says like, look at you, like, we created this for you. You're incomparable. You're so special. We've been waiting for you. It's just and I definitely like feel targeted a little bit. I feel triggered a little bit. Like when he talks about the little kids playing the iPads, because definitely let my kid play the iPad every now and again. But yeah, no, it's wild. It's also very much shaking my fist at the cloud.
I think we all sense that there's something wrong with it though. Like even people that are products of the internet, like Bo Burnham and people that are younger now, they all kind of know that it's out of control. Like this is a too much thing that we haven't figured it out yet, like how to harness it. I don't know. I don't think it's just an old person thing. I think young people see that too.
Let's take a break and chew the fat. Play that motherfucker.
Geoff, Russ, and Dave in the motherfucking chat, chewing the fat on stuff weird and whack.
My second kid, the middle child, he's 3, there's a summer camp gap this week, so he's been home, right? Which is, it's a lot because he's a lot to handle. He's funny, but he's like, he wants to talk a lot. He's got a lot of energy. He has to be entertained, you know. So I've been busy this week. We go swimming yesterday at this public pool called Pam McConnell Center. And you go in from like, it's like 11 to 1. You can go swim with your kid in the wading pool, you know? So we swim, we get out. You have to go to these little locker room booths to change your clothes. I was changing my clothes first. I put the towel on him. I'm changing my clothes. And I should say part of fatherhood is that if you have sons, is that your sons are going to see your dick at times because you have to like pee in the same room as them when they're peeing, or, you know, there's a lot of going to the bathroom together. And so this happens regularly, and that's not weird. That's just a fact of fatherhood, and you guys know it. I go into the room, the changing room. I put his towel on because he's soaked. And then I start to take my pants off, and he goes really loud, "Dad, don't show your penis to me." Like that. And I was like, the very first thing that went through my head was to go, "I've never shown my penis to you," like that. And then I was like, don't say that. Because that's people are going to.
That's something a person who has shown their penis to their kid definitely would say.
Exactly. But I haven't ever shown it to him. He just has seen it during pee breaks. He's never said it like that, and he didn't mean that, but it was like really loud in a co-ed parents and kids locker room. And so I was like, how do I respond? And I was like, and so I just go, "Buddy, I have to change my clothes just like you do." And so I was just like, keep it very innocent. And I kind of said it loud in case anybody had heard it, you know?
Did you do a quick look around?
Yeah, I was like, well, it was like in a door, in a stall. So the door's closed, but there's a gap above and below. So I know that acoustically it got out there. And so I was just like, oh man. But then in the same sitting, he like did a big circle around my stomach and he goes, why's your belly so big? I was like, you little fuckface.
And now back to Six Picks Music Club.
Well, let's bring it home there, Jeffro. You've got our last song tonight. I haven't actually listened to this one because you changed it like just before we started.
Well, maybe that'll be better. So the song I chose is Professional Rapper by Lil Dicky, which came out in 2015. Lil Dicky is another product of the internet, but his fame is more recent than Bo Burnham's. It's a fascinating story. He was in a marketing agency. He decided to become a rapper, and he's a comic rapper, but he spent a while producing like 10 or 15 music videos for YouTube, and he wanted to make them as good as he could. He put the first one out and it immediately became viral, and then he was a sensation. And so this was kind of after the first wave. He started to prove that he's actually like a good rapper. He's collabed with a lot of really great rappers, and in this song he's collaborating with Snoop Dogg, and I'll leave it at that. Here we go.
Grab a seat.
Thanks, I'm Dave. Very nice to meet.
Dave, what it do? You can call me dog. Let me just check your sheet.
No problem, sir. Let me just say, I'm a big fan of the shit that y'all made. I can't lie, I've been thinking about this all day.
All good, there's a reason that we call Dave. Let me start with your background, where you come from.
Sure, I was undergrad down there in Richmond.
Before that.
Are you talking about my hometown?
Yeah.
I was born out of Philly, grew up in a little silly old town called Cheltenham. That's in the suburbs, upper middle wealth around.
So real shit, you ain't never had to struggle for much?
I wouldn't say it like that. We just had a different kind of trap.
Elaborate.
Well, I ain't never had a tool, but I had to be the man of school. Like I was doing shit I had to do. So when I finished undergrad, I'm cool and I could get whatever job I wanted.
But the job you wanted wasn't all that bumping.
Yeah, and I saw quick all the flaws that become when you grow up like that.
Greatness.
Yeah, so Lil Dicky, Dave Bird, he has a show called Dave that I love. It's 3 seasons. It was a really well-written show that he put together that tells kind of his story. So it's loosely autobiographical. It's like heightened autobiography, which is what his rap is like too. So he's telling the truth. Like he went to the University of Richmond, which is where you go if you want to get like a really good degree in advertising. And he was a hot shit advertising firm kid. And then he decided that he wanted to be a rapper instead. And there was no evidence that he could do it, except that he thought that he could do it. And if you listen to him in this song, he's an incredible rapper. Like his flow is sick.
Yeah.
He can do it. He writes a lot of it, of course, but he can freestyle, and it's just all put together. And he is competitive, and even though it is a joke, he's like, I want to be one of the greats, and he's being serious about that. And he might be one day, you know. But he's like collabed with Fetty Wap and Chris Brown and all these other guys because they recognize that he has talent. No, but you know, it'd be like a real stamp of approval that you do a whole song with Snoop, where Snoop is like
he's like playing a part in that. That's pretty good. That's cred right there.
Yeah, it is. And it's cool, man. The song is awesome. I feel like Lil Dicky is at once like really famous, but people haven't watched his show and listened to all of his songs. I think everybody knows like one thing by him. Do you know what I mean?
Everyone's seen like at least one freestyle from him being, oh, he's funny and clever and pretty good rapper. Huh. Like, and that's how I know him.
I had seen like one video by him. I was like, oh, that was cool. Like, but I never was like, oh, dude, until this year I watched that show Dave, and then I got into his whole thing. Yeah, I think the songs that I chose are similar in that, like, Kickapoo is about the formation of Tenacious D, even if it's all made up. And then Professional Rapper is about Dave Bird becoming a rapper, and he's almost like applying to official rap via Snoop Dogg.
Rap college.
And he just wants to be accepted by the community so he can do his art form. And they're like, yeah, but you're just making jokes. And he's like, yeah, but by just making jokes, I'm getting to an audience you can never get to, because I'm converting people from anti-rap to rap and they're going to recognize that it's a great art form. And then Snoop's like, oh, okay. You know, it's like he's convincing him, but he's like justifying his whole career in that song, which is cool.
Hey, well done, guys. I think all of the picks today were really funny. I laughed out loud multiple times listening to y'all's songs. So thanks for bringing the heaters.
Dave had multiple laugh-gasms, and they were all different kinds of funny, which was good. I think we got some good variety on this app. And if there are those listeners out there that they're not listening to the whole playlist, get your shit together. Listen to all 6 of these. This is a very good comedy playlist.
I echo Geoff Rowe's recommendation. But yeah, those are our tracks today. And like with every show, there's a link in the show notes to get you to the Spotify playlist where you can listen to all those songs in their entirety. Go check it out. Find us on Instagram or TikTok or email us at sixpixpod@gmail.com to let us know your funny comedy songs. Hey, before we get out of here, I got to check the email, and we do have more email this week. We got one that's a little bit nicer. This one is from Chris in El Paso, and he writes and says, hell yeah, Geoff Rowe, I had a great time in high school. College was great too. Y'all's show makes me miss Austin, but now that I've seen the world, y'all's tacos suck. Okay. I do remember listening to this band from the Kuiper Crow. That dude could sing. See if you can find his track Grace and give it a spin. Thanks, Chris. We'll see if we can't find that one.
Real taco enthusiast, Chris.
I guess the El Paso tacos are different than the Austin tacos. I mean, I guess that makes sense. And yeah, thanks every other listener too for hanging out with us. We love having you, and hope to send you on your way with some laughs. So thanks again to Shaolin Death Squad for our opening music. Give them a listen, and we'll see you next time. Play it loud and keep jamming. This episode of Six Picks Music Club was produced by Yuri Nader. Edited by Isaac Hunt. With special thanks to Dixie Rect.
Hey!